Man, yeah, I absolutely cannot get over these seatbelt covers. Is this an upside down cat? What does this say? Somebody tell me. And the biggest Wang award goes to... Hey, real quick before we start this video, a lot of you guys have been asking for team shirts. Finally, Autohaus has t-shirts, so it would really help out a lot if you supported the shop, got some merch, some shirts, stickers, support the media work, support me and my dog. Check out that merch store so I don't starve you guys. 2015 Subaru BRZ, another customer car. If you can see the door numbers. Yeah, this one's actually a track car. Also, if you haven't noticed, big Oni-chan vibes with this one. Oni-chan. I didn't even know Sailor Moon had a pink cat. You can take that however you want. We got something special under the hood I kind of wanted to talk about. Once again, another customer car, Jackson Racing Supercharger with a Rotrex unit. There's a few interesting things and a few key items I wanted to talk about with this one. It's going to be tough to see the lines, but to my surprise, this was actually is actually an automatic transmission car and actually runs an Autotrans air-to-air cooler right there. The owner tells me he's actually going to cut out this additional provision to allow more airflow in that guy. Although I definitely run a screen, as I've seen plenty of rocks damage air-to-water and air-to-air intercoolers and ruin someone's day. Again, just like that other Jackson Supercharged one, there's like 5 different heat exchangers in here. Actually may not be so effective for this oil cooler. It's absolutely mandatory, I would say, on any of these chassis to run an oil cooler, but yeah, it's always tough when you've got like 5 air-to-air or air-to-water heat exchangers all stacked up together. A few other key things. This Rotrex oil, if you look at the dipstick, it says check when running, so that's key. Some of these fluids, like traditionally automatic transmission fluid, or in this case the supercharger oil, they want you to check this level while the vehicle's running. I honestly didn't notice a huge difference between the levels with it running and not running, but if that's what the manufacturer wants, then you should do exactly what they say. Some other things worth noting on this car. It's always important to double check your charge pipes, make sure that nothing's loose. This car had a few damaged hose clamps where they would not tighten anymore. So actually a fair amount of these charge pipes were actually loose. So I know this one I could physically pull on and off the supercharger. And you may be wondering, what's the big deal, right? Well, for engine management purposes, if the engine is expecting a certain amount of boost pressure or air, and instead your boost pressure is not getting into the engine, it's getting out into the atmosphere, long story short, the engine's going to overfuel itself and bad stuff happens. So yeah, it's always a good idea, check your clamps, check all your charge pipes. Another thing I tell my forced induction customers, AFR gauge and boost gauge are also 2 very important diagnostic tools. I mean, just for example, if this customer had a boost gauge hooked up, it would have been very obvious that you had a boost leak, right? Like boost was not making it into the engine, because you'd see lower boost numbers than normal, and that'd tell you something's wrong. In tandem to that, an AFR gauge, especially important for forced induction cars. Yeah, running lean with boost is always, hate to say it, that's like destined for failure on forced induction cars. So again, an AFR gauge being a great diagnostic tool on letting you know, like, I need to back off, or hey, something's really wrong, I should stop. Really common on when these get turbocharged, heat management also can be an issue. I noticed on this one, I believe this is a JDL header, where the single outlet comes up out to here, and that just reminds me, a lot of these turbocharged applications, the turbo actually sits right here in front of the cooling fans. So if you notice this bracket right there, where the cooling fan harness used to sit. I know there was signs of heat damage on this cooling fan connector. And again, heat management, right? This JDL header was probably coming so close to that connector that it was starting to melt it. So I actually relocated the harness lower away out of harm's way. But the biggest problem for turbo guys is running heat management everywhere, right? So like against the charge pipe, maybe wrapping the headers. I've seen heat tape around cooling fans before. I believe turbo guys have melted cooling fans. I believe that's also a thing. Even keeping these charge pipes cool and out of harm's way is also important, because if the radiant air is heat soaking these charge pipes, that's only going to render this setup less effective and make this guy work way harder than it needs to. So yeah, just some quick tips for those of you guys running forced induction on this chassis. Again, boost and AFR gauge, great diagnostic tool. Watch out for heat management. But yeah, otherwise, great setup. Yeah, really common people talk about how a Rotrex setup is like an NA plus, where throughout the rev range, you get power. You get more power with the increase in RPM. And for sure, it drives like a really healthy NA car with a lot at the top. So yeah, if you like this video, more tips, tricks, and reviews videos like this, make sure to leave a comment in the description below. If you like this, don't like this, want to see more, make sure to like and subscribe. Appreciate all the support, you guys, and I'll catch you next time.